Ladies and gentlemen, the journey for focus, clarity, and mental mastery is about to begin. Live from WSIC Studios on the shores of Lake Norman, the show that gives you the tools to think sharper, sleep deeper, manage stress, and unlock your full mental potential. This is Your Brain Matters. And now, with over 30 years of brain science, more than 70,000 brain analyses, bringing neuroscience to everyday life, here's your host, Dr. Tim Royer.
Merry Christmas!
Ho, ho, ho!
Can you believe it?
It's happening. It's
Wow.
Christmas.
Man, that came on so fast. It's here.
Yeah, and thank goodness our kids aren't coming till after Christmas,
Yes.
so we have a couple extra days.
We're not ready.
We are not prepared, but that's all right. We'll be ready when they get here.
Yes. Man, we hope every one of you have a great, great Christmas. And we do love this time of year because we're all about family, and it's just really awesome.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
Relationships,
Yes. It's all about
everything. Yep. There's a lot of presents, but the best thing is each other's presence during Christmas and the holidays is just being together, going for a walk, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So great.
You just kind of slow the pace down a little bit and, just focus on all those things before we plow into the new year, right?
Yep.
So, welcome back. We just had a really phenomenal week this last week. We did our Reclaim Your Brain lecture in Naples. I was down there working at a clinic doing pre and post EEGs for stem cell and exosomes. We had a free night and put on this lecture for the community. It was outstanding. Just really, really fun. A lot of good questions. Such an eclectic group. I mean, it was just crazy, all the different things that people were there for. And then we had some time over the weekend to get some assessments done and talk to people about their brain, and some of those people already in the program. It's just crazy. Like in 72 hours, they went from sitting there learning about the brain.
Yes.
And they're up and running sessions today, already getting their brain stronger, which is what we want to encourage all of you to do. Other thing that we did was Amy and I spoke in Dallas last Thursday at the National Track and Field and Cross Country Coaches Association, which was primarily college coaches. It was huge. Absolutely. Could you believe that?
Texas is huge.
Yes.
The conference was huge. The room that you were presenting in was huge. And Tim and I are rather small people, so it was a little overwhelming, but no, it was awesome. We had to laugh because, as we've told you, we have runners in our family.
Yes.
Tim and I are not those, but we're really good walkers. But anyway, this place, the runners, I mean, they just couldn't help themselves. Like, we went out for a walk, and everyone is out there running, and they all have their watches, and they're all tapping their watches at every, corner, waiting for the red light, and we just were giggling a little bit about it all, but because it's quite a group. The runner nation is something,
isn't it?
Yeah, and then also the level of fitness in the space, like at the hotel, was absolutely hilarious because their fitness does not fit with American body presentations as a whole, and so it was quite different for us, like, to be in that space, and just, it was very, what would we say, like, stark.
Yeah.
It was stark.
Very stark contrast.
Yes.
Because we'd just been traveling, flew in, typical airline travel, a lot of people that probably need to lose some weight and
or start jogging.
Yeah,
or something.
start jogging.
And then
you were transformed into this environment. It's like when we go to Japan to visit our son that's in the military. It's like, what in the world? You don't see the obesity and that kind of stuff. And this conference was like that. But they were just really great group, super smart. Yep. These coaches are trying to do some good things. We had 18 schools that were interested in doing the program, which is very, very cool. So then we want to, as we've been doing the last few weeks, we have this grand opening, right?
Yeah.
And we're grand opening here at Birkdale Point. And we want to invite you to get a assessment, comprehensive brain assessment. Typically $500. It's $250. You can use your HSA, your FSA to pay for that. That qualifies within that. Would love for you to come in. All you have to do is go to yourbrainmatters.today to register.
Yeah, and last week, Doc made a statement, and I'm going to repeat it today.
Oh boy.
He said, if you don't think it was worth $250, then you don't have to pay.
It's true.
So that means you're offering a $500 assessment for half price, $250.
$250, yeah.
You have to do the same amount of work, Doc.
Absolutely.
Right?
Oh, wait a minute. Do
and
I?
then yes, sir.
Oh, my
and if
gosh.
they
Okay.
don't like it, they don't have to pay. So that would be a really amazing thing, except for you are going to like it.
Right. I've never had anybody not like it.
That's true.
That's
So you
good.
offer that with a great deal of confidence. So-
Very deal, high level. And you know why we want to come to that? Because your brain matters.
Yeah.
Your brain matters for you. It matters for your employer. It matters for your spouse. It matters for your family. It matters for your future. It just matters.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think the thing that, as we look at our last year of work and our last 25 years of work, is, and also what you've already been highlighting, you and I are super passionate to help people learn that their brain matters, because the way our culture's going, the speed we're all running at, I think we forget what's up there sitting
Yeah.
on top of our shoulders. And so we're super big on educating. And like you said, you just did a lecture, and within 72 hours, you have people already training. It's because they found out more about their brain.
Right,
They
the
learned
education.
something. So the education is huge, and we're always offering that. As much as possible, we offer that for free, because that's a big calling we have.
Yeah, the education. So as we finish up this segment, I want to have our Your Brain Matters quote.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
So
All
you're
right,
going to
let's
read
switch
that for
gears.
us, but let me
Yes.
just switch gears a little bit. So this is from Dr. Chris Stackpole, who I got the pleasure to first meet out at Portland at the Portland Trailblazers, where he is working at the brain in relation to sports and the body. And this guy is just at the intersection of brain performance, recovery, and elite competition. Now he's with the New Jersey Devils, and he gave us this quote that we're going to read.
Okay, here it is, everybody. This is Chris Stackpole. He says, our brain is a powerful force, constantly predicting our daily experiences. These predictions shape our interpretations, which profoundly influence our emotions and reactions, ultimately impacting our relationships. Okay, guys, just intermission. He's talking about upstream, downstream.
Downstream, yeah.
Okay, and we're always talking about that. So he just made a beautiful connection between upstream and downstream. Okay, continuing. Every aspect of our lives touches our brain. When we eat, how well we sleep, how much we exercise, what we read and watch, and the company we keep. Without our brain, we would not feel pain, make sense of our world, or experience the beauty of joy and happiness. Nurturing our brains and bodies holistically is vital for embracing a long and vibrant life.
Wow. Man, I love these quotes. Aren't they fun?
Yeah, these are very, very deep.
Yeah.
Very deep, but encompassing, what the simplest things in life, but then also the biggest things in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's a great guy. He's got a lot going on in his brain.
Oh,
and
he's so smart.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
is so smart. He's doing great things.
Yeah.
We'll see you in the next section. Let's go.
Okay, welcome back. We're ready to head into the science corner.
Let's go.
So today I'm going to ask Doc a lot of questions, because the topic's going to be in his wheelhouse. But just a reminder of where we've come from, okay?
Yeah.
We started out talking about energy and how the brain needs energy to function.
Mm-hmm.
Then we talked about where we get that energy, and we talked about breathing being the primary and sleep being the secondary, and then a couple other great things like hydration and nutrition. And then we talked about how does the brain use the energy that it has. And we talked about the fast waves and the slow waves. And we called that the autonomic nervous system. And so we've covered so much ground of learning about how our brain moves back and forth along this spectrum of or continuum of the autonomic nervous system and how that keeps us alive. So then last week, we talked about something because we wanted to really connect with you all about something that we all are familiar with, and that is medications. And how does medications fit into this whole thing? And so that was kind of a very fun conversation about most medications are either going to glide us in one direction or the other. I say glide, that sounds really nice, but honestly, it's an override of the system.
Right.
So your body wants to glide, but the chemical will come in and override. Sometimes that's really helpful, especially in emergency situations. But what we talked about and what we ended on was there is a place for medication, but there is something else that is better for the chronic management of the issue. So when I say chronic management, I mean we need to look upstream at what actually is the problem versus just fixing something downstream like the behavior, sort of like what Dr. Stackpole talked about in his quote.
Right.
So Doc said he has something that's better than any medication, and he said in our last episode that is learning.
Absolutely.
The brain's ability to learn. So we are going in that direction. So our topic today is learning. And so we're going to let Doc unpack everything about learning that he has learned professionally, but also witnessed professionally and his own learning.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So this, I really want you to lean forward and listen, okay? Because this is a shift for you because you're taught in every commercial you watch, you're taught in every advertisement you see, which the estimate of how many of these advertisements hit us a day that we don't even realize is incredible. And it's telling you the only way you can change is with a pill, that it's a chemical change. And that is not actually changing anything. It's just creating a chemical alteration of the current symptomology downstream. But you're not growing anything. You're not adapting. If I started you on Zoloft 20 years ago for your depression, and I took you off the Zoloft, you'd most likely be right back where you were because you didn't grow. You just chemically altered what was going on. So when we really step back and look at what is the thing that we're doing constantly, all the time, it's learning. Our brain is a learning machine. It is incredible how it learns. From the time we're born all through our life, we're constantly learning, and not just conscious learning. So, a lot of times, we'll get people when we're doing our training, like, what do I have to think about? What do I have to do? And it's like, well, that's only about 10%. We want to work with the other 90% of your body and brain that's learning all the time, even when you're not thinking about it.
Yeah. So it's important, I think, to unpack the word learning or the concept of learning because I think a lot of us think about, learning, I learned that in school,
Yes.
right? So if I was to ask you, like, what did you learn this week? I might be thinking, like, I didn't learn anything. I just did the same stuff I always do. I go to work. I do what I need to do at home, blah, blah, blah. But what we're not aware of sometimes is that our brain is learning even when we're unaware of it. And I think you had that really great percentage you said about the percentage of conscious learning and
Yes.
unconscious learning. And that is a huge key to what we do.
Exactly. Like all through, if I just look at from the time I woke up this morning till now,
Yeah.
my brain is taking in all kinds of information and it's adjusting things. It's adjusting things in my digestive system right now to turn food into energy. It's working with hydration. It's working with millions of pores on my skin to adapt to the temperature change from being in this studio to going back outside to this morning when it was a little chilly. The brain is every second it's learning. See, the brain is is a problem solver. It's
Uh-huh.
curious.
Yes.
Okay, it wants to solve problems, and that is a good and a bad thing. So, for instance, if you have a problem in your past, like a trauma or a loss that doesn't add up, okay,
Yeah.
1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 in that situation. When you lose the one and you're one, it's like, what happened, right? The world turns upside down. Your brain continuously goes on a journey to solve that problem. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why we say in psychological circles, the unresolved past is the present, because you're still trying to resolve or learn or adapt. Your brain is curious. And we use this example sometimes. If I say to you, the sky is blue,
Mm-hmm.
it's very likely that that will just kind of pass on by and you won't think about it. But when I say to you, why is the sky blue? Well, now I've opened up the brain's capability where it won't stop trying to solve that problem until you solve that. And it'll go on this journey of curiosity. You may forget about that question now, but 3 days from now, you're standing in the shower and all of a sudden, maybe the sky's blue because of this, because I asked that question. I asked that question to trigger the brain's desire to learn and solve problems. It's always trying to do that.
Okay. So this isn't about your IQ.
No.
Okay.
This is more about how we adapt and being human. Like, we learn to walk, we learn to drive, we learn to recognize faces, patterns. We learn these things, and every human, even on their worst day, has the capability to be learning something.
Okay.
That it's adjusting.
I think that is so important for us to kind of identify that, because our culture is so oriented around the IQ or what grade you got
Yes.
or how many points you got on your, exam and stuff like that. And you're talking about something that is just plain old human. Like, we're all doing it. Like, I'm babysitting my granddaughter and she's learning. And
Yes, all
now
the time.
she can't say even daddy or mommy, but she's learning constantly. And I can see it from one day to the next that she learned something today that she didn't know how to do yesterday.
Yeah.
And I could care less what her IQ is or what, grade she's in or, all that stuff. It's just part of being human. You just look at her little 20-pound self and she's learning the same way I'm learning.
Yeah, and isn't it interesting how with Rose, like, we put that black remote out there on the floor, right? And her brain is curious. It's curious. So it's having to learn to get her body moving to the point now that she's crawling a little bit, she's climbing a little bit. But it really actually starts with that curiosity that kind of drives her ability to motivate to learn.
Yeah. And another thing unbelievable that I saw her do yesterday, she not only crawled and got to the remote, when she got to the remote, her eyes looked up at the TV.
Wow.
And
Isn't
I
that
don't
crazy?
even hardly watch the TV,
Yeah.
but I have watched the TV, and she connected those two things.
See, we're doing this stuff all the time and
Yeah.
we don't realize it. We change directions from getting point A to point B. And there's people that we're going to learn about that have kind of really set the stage for focus on learning. The two main ones would be Pavlov, Russian neuroscientist, neurologist, and Skinner, B.F. Skinner, who taught us about how you can change behavior through learning. But I want to emphasize this as we go into the last couple of minutes of the segment is, unlike chemicals that change the brain or that alter the brain,
Yes.
they don't change any pathways. But when we learn, there's two main things that happen.
Okay.
One is the gray matter is changing. So your brain has gray matter and white matter, and these are more like the storage sites of new information. Like,
Okay.
I'm storing in here this acquisition of what this means, like the letter A. But then as we start to practice that over and over, then we develop the white matter, which is the communication
Okay.
between all the gray matter sites. And as we learn, these communication pathways get, by myelin increasing and that kind of stuff, they get stronger and stronger and stronger. So now the letter A is happening much faster in my brain than when I was a kindergartner and learned the letter A, because I'm literally forming new neuronal connections, which then become established the rest of my life. No matter if I desired not to, I will always have the letter A is the letter A. So in learning, unlike chemical, we are increasing gray matter, and particularly we're increasing a lot of white matter
Okay.
in the brain, and we can measure that. And we're going to talk about a study on this in a few weeks from now about how what we do changes the amount of gray and white matter, particularly white matter in the brain.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's super impressive. So when the Pavlov and he was doing the stuff with the dogs,
Yeah.
he was changing their gray matter and white matter.
Yes. Through
And
the reinforcement. So they had kind of a gray matter of, I need food.
Yes.
But then he paired the bell. And so then that gray matter created these white matter connections to other areas of the brain. And he literally, if he could have measured it, he would have been measuring they have more gray and white matter during their whole process.
wow, impressive.
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome back.
Yeah.
I have one more question for Doc
Sure,
before
yeah,
we
yeah.
leave the science corner.
Yeah.
So, Doc, can you connect with us the autonomic nervous system? Because
yes.
I know when we think about learning, there's different styles of learning, things like that. But
Yeah.
I know there's research about learning and making connections that have to do with sleep and stress and things like that. Like, for example, is cramming for a test good, or is it better to go to bed?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a certain amount of knowledge that you need to get into your gray matter. But in order for the white matter to work really well, you do need the sleep and those kind of things. And for your long-term retention of the information, yes, you might be able to regurgitate it, but you're not going to have that long-term retention if you're not working out of a system that's in more of a parasympathetic. So let's go
Yep.
back a few episodes.
Yep.
So the brain learns best when it's calm. Okay, so if I'm running from a lion, it's very hard for me to learn something.
Okay.
And so this is why we see at some of these counseling centers where we provide some of our services that help calm down the autonomic nervous system, that doing 10 minutes of the breathing, heart rate, brain work before the therapy session, what these therapists are seeing is it takes half the number of sessions normally to get through a particular issue because the brain is more calm. It's able to learn. Same thing in academic environments. Your child might be having a hard time learning, not because they have a learning disability, but because their autonomic nervous system is stuck in sympathetic. They're not sleeping well, they're anxious, or you have them on too much amphetamine, which is making them go too fast.
Right.
And so you have to be in that parasympathetic state to learn.
Yeah, I think there have been research studies on the actual learning ability with the stimulant medication. And so that's really concerning because with the stimulant medication, you're going to get the behavior you're looking for. That child is
Right,
going to sit
yes.
still, and that's going to help in the classroom. But what are you in the classroom for in the first place? You're there to learn. And it's harder to learn when you have that going on in your brain. Or you can even talk about sugar and like eating big old sugar snacks, and then the body is going through a stressful high sugar, low sugar swing, and that's not helpful for learning either.
Yeah, and the big thing on the stimulants is they might be able to get kind of some factual things, but we'll learn more about this when we talk about brainwave activity. But the stimulants and the amphetamines shut down the creative side. The same for an adult
Right.
pumping the caffeine. Like
Yep.
I'm getting through and I'm checking all the
Yep.
boxes, but am I really looking at the bigger picture and actually solving bigger problems? That's very hard to do
Right.
when you're just jacked up on caffeine all the time.
Yeah, we have had a client before that was a real creative guy, right?
Yeah.
And he was going into an entrepreneurial role where they were capitalizing on his creativity, but he fell into this space where he thought he could produce more creativity if he was using caffeine to stay awake longer. And it actually was like just came all the way full circle
Yeah.
and bit him in the butt because he wasn't creative when he was on stimulants. So
Yeah.
he was like ready to produce, but he couldn't make the creative brainwaves in that case. Okay. Hopefully that wasn't a rabbit
No,
hole.
it's good.
But
It's good.
we have a story from Doc that will demonstrate for us a little bit more about the learning
Yeah,
and
so
how we learn.
let's go into the mind,
Into
because
the
your brain
mind.
matters.
Yes.
So here's a little fact that you probably don't know, but you're going to find out is, yes, I'm a neuropsychologist, but I also have always had a builder's license. So we have built many homes together, Amy and I, many
Or we have remodeled.
rebuilt. And in the last 2 years, we've built 3 homes in the area. And so we're always doing this. We love doing it. And so we had a home a couple houses ago where I was going to put all the doorknobs on. So
Yeah. And it's supposed to be de-stressing.
de-stressing.
De-stressing. Just put doorknobs
Yeah,
in.
we're at the end. Let's put the doorknob. So I had 18 doorknobs to install.
All right.
Right? So
Yep.
this is an example of learning. So it was a different type of doorknob than we've been used to, but man, I've been putting doorknobs on for decades. Like this is nothing. So I grabbed the first doorknob. I'm gonna get this thing done in
Yep.
a few hours. And I'm like, I'm putting this thing on. It's not working. Something's backward. They have this new gadget that makes it attach. I'm like, what the heck? And like 8 minutes later, I've got this door, and I'm starting to like add up the time. Like this is gonna take me forever to get through these doorknobs. So I'm like, well, this would be interesting. Let me just kind of time it, right?
Okay.
So I decide. I know that and men, I do not agree that you do this. Okay, but I did it. I looked at the instructions. I know.
Oh.
I feel like my testosterone just dropped by like 50 points.
Did you have to go out to the trash to get the
Yes,
instructions?
I'd already thrown those things away. But I'm like, I'm going to go look. So I looked at the instructions, and man, I feel like less of a man. Okay, but
Okay.
I looked at the instructions, and I did the next doorknob, and I got it done in 5 minutes.
Whoa.
That's
whoa,
pretty
whoa, whoa.
cool,
Yeah.
right? I'm like-
Yeah, but you still have 5 times 16 now.
Yeah, so now I'm like, this is going to take forever.
2 down.
Yeah. So then I'm like, okay, I think I got the groove.
Yeah.
And I did the next one in 3 minutes. I'm literally here with my timer. It's so funny. I'm just like,
You got a
killing it.
PR.
Yeah, I got a PR. I'm like, I'm flying. So then I go to the next one,
Yeah.
set the timer,
Yeah.
2 minutes and 20 seconds.
Okay.
And I am like superstar.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, right? I'm flying.
Yes.
So then
Okay.
I decide I can go faster.
Okay.
So in the process to give up speed, to get more speed, I didn't focus as well.
Okay.
I made 3 mistakes, and it took me 6 minutes to get the doorknob in.
Oh no. So what do you think was happening in your autonomic nervous system?
I was going so sympathetic. Look at you.
Oh no.
That I actually started going so fast that I lost the ability to be efficient,
Okay.
right? So
I
there's
can
a
see
certain
that.
level of
Yep.
efficiency going on. So I tell you this kind of story. This is a real story. And then, I did get back to, just so you know, I got back to my 2 minutes and 15 seconds, and I threw away those instructions. But I want us to look at this and say, okay, here's this guy putting in doorknobs. They're just everyday life, right? There's nothing going on here. But yeah, there's something pretty magnificent going on here,
Mhm.
right? So my first process through the doorknobs was one of exposure to something totally different, because this was a different type of doorknob than I'd seen before. My brain had never seen this type of doorknob, and I was able to take other things I knew about doorknobs and apply that to that and get through it, but it wasn't very efficient, right?
Yeah.
Then I took in some data, the instructions, and I started getting faster. Okay? So if you could have been measuring my brain, like literally looking, you would have seen that I had started to develop and grow some gray matter for the initial acquisition.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
But then when I added a few things like learning, looking at the instructions, I started to create the more myelin in my white matter, and now my brain started to communicate faster, right? So now I'm actually measuring learning, okay? Like I can see it if I was looking at my brain that I have more white matter. And then I get to the point where I'm, a quarter or a third of what I originally was. And if you can look at my brain in those period of time, you would see that my structure of my brain, I didn't take an Adderall, right?
Right.
I didn't go all anxious. I did after that. I started to like get so fast and anxious that I made mistakes, and then I lost ground, right?
Yeah.
I didn't lose gray matter and white matter, but my sympathetic nervous system kicked in and it decreased my performance. It wasn't that I hadn't learned,
Right.
but that stress had made me less efficient.
Okay.
Okay.
And so now, if you went back and you had 18 more, based on the story that you're telling me, you would regulate yourself within the autonomic nervous system to stay in that more calm and focused state because you saw what happened when you went to the stress state for learning.
Yes.
That did not work well. And if you went where you're checking out, that would not work well either for accomplishing your task, your learning. But you could keep yourself in the zone for learning now that you've experienced that.
Yeah. And when I got anxious about it and gone fast, I've said, oh, maybe I should smoke a little something to just like chill out a little bit, which is what we like to do chemically. Some people with marijuana, that would not have made me go faster or efficient. I would have just been less concerned about the task at hand. So the chemicals may do things that mask something, but they are never, ever learning. You're not learning with the chemical. Learning is a process in the brain. Okay, welcome back, listeners. Dr. Royer here with Your Brain Matters and my co-host, Nurse Amy. Your brain does matter, and we've been learning all about learning. We're learning all about learning and just how amazing it is. Imagine if you couldn't learn. We would just be static, and we're learning so much all the time. And the way that we seek downstream behavioral change isn't just chemical alteration, because that isn't learning. That's a mask. That's like check the engine light and somebody puts a piece of duct tape over it. I haven't fixed the engine. We need to fix it and teach and learn how to do these things. We came out of that example with the doorknob about how to find that sweet spot of learning where we're not in a sympathetic state, but we're in a more calm, focused state, and how learning isn't just learning, but it requires an environment of a nervous system being in a balanced state. So we're going to talk now about a particular, we're going into the cortex case studies, and we're going to talk about a particular case study that Amy's going to take us through and start to look at the application of learning to real life and how we do this to change particular issues that people may experience.
Yeah. Yep. So sometimes when we talk about learning, like I said earlier, we think about school and students and things like that. And that's a
Yes.
very obvious learning situation. But it's also been said like our body and brain are always learning. And what matters is, are we learning to do good things or are we learning to do bad things? So within the autonomic nervous system, our body wants the best for us.
Yeah.
It's like Doc said, a problem solver. So sometimes, however, the inputs we give, the brain in its attempt to help us will make maladaptive behaviors.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's learning.
It'll learn something bad.
That's
a
learning
good point.
too.
Yeah, that's true.
So we have to be really careful. There's this in the field of epigenetics,
Mm-hmm.
they've been able to find that you can have the epigenetics or the genetic code for like Alzheimer's. And by changing the inputs that you do into your body, you can actually turn off the expression
yes.
of that gene. And so what I'm saying is like that's a learning thing.
Right.
That's because we gave the brain and body some different inputs. We changed the expression of that gene and changed everything.
Right.
So it's big, like what we're talking about is learning is maybe a simple concept. Like, okay, we have a sticker chart. If you do good, you get a sticker. If you do bad, you don't, that's learning. But learning is also like chemically going on in our bodies all the time. And until recently, we didn't even know this thing about the genes and the epigenetics that, hey, yeah, you inherit all your genes from your mom and dad, but that doesn't mean you have to be exactly like them. That's kind of an excuse. You can change things about yourself genetically just by your lifestyle choices will change the expression of those same genes.
Yeah, sometime we'll talk about what you introduced me to, which was Pottinger's cats.
Oh my gosh,
That
that's
is so good.
totally incredible. Yeah,
Epigenetics. Oh my gosh, what some cool stories there. That's
yeah, or
really
just go on YouTube and watch a video or two about Pottinger's cats because I'm not making this stuff up. So, anyway, we're
Yeah.
going to talk about a real person.
Yeah.
So this client came to us as a college student.
Mm-hmm.
So this was a person who was really, really struggling in college. However, her parents knew that she was extremely bright, gifted. They had resources to help her in any way needed. And so when she came to us, we were thinking, well, how could you possibly need our help? Like you have
Everything.
anything and everything that you need at your fingertips, but she was not doing well.
Right.
She was a college student who was now not able to go to class, not able to hold a job, not sleeping, losing weight, not really eating well, like failure to thrive basically, but in an adult, which we usually talk about failure to thrive in a child.
Right.
But this was an adult that was in a state of failure to thrive, which was just, like we think about like the level of resources that we have in our culture, like she had everything needed to thrive. So what was going on?
Right.
So we also, when we we met her and worked with her, she was taking a lot of medication.
Tons.
A lot. And kind of what Doc and I talked about last week, upper, downer, and then a stabilizer, just to get through each day. That was what was the plan for how to survive. And so it wasn't going well.
Right. I think if I remember correctly, her psychiatrist had a sit down with her parents and said, just want you to be prepared. And this is a student that had gotten to an Ivy League school. This isn't just, this is really bright young lady. And the psychiatrist said, I want you to be prepared. I really don't think that your daughter will ever be able to hold down a job. I mean, can you imagine that?
No.
21, 22, like she'll never be able to hold down a job.
Right.
She's just so mentally unstable.
Yeah. And she had done decently through high school.
Right.
So for us, like coming into the situation, all we wanted to do was do the baseline assessment. And because we got to see what's going on, or as Doc says, what's under the hood, right?
What's upstream?
What's upstream. And for us, the outside picture was something is broken here.
Right.
But we needed to get in and see what was going on. And basically, the main thing that we saw was that this brain had trained itself into a stressed state and was stuck.
It learned.
It learned its way into that. Now, we weren't there to find out what the inputs were that were leading into that space, but we got to see the end product, which was this brain that was just stuck in sympathetic state. And the meds were managing it to help her survive, but they were taking away all of her gifts and her strength.
Which primarily was creativity.
Yeah.
Super creative individual.
Yep.
That was all getting suppressed, was further feeding into the depression, the anxiety, that kind of stuff.
So oftentimes when we get in a situation like this and we introduce our training, people are excited, they're hopeful, but it's really hard when you're in a state like she is to actually execute the training,
Right.
because you got to get up, get out of bed, and you got to do the training, whether it's 30 minutes or an hour a day. You had to train, okay? Because that's how, in our program, that's how the brain learns. This person started doing the training in nugget-sized pieces and started feeling better. And that learning that was happening within her also was reinforcing her coming back to the training.
Right.
So she was like, in a way, putting stickers on her own sticker chart because she felt better. So then she's like, I can't wait to train tomorrow. I can't wait to train tomorrow. I'm
Right.
getting better. So to this person's credit, she
Big time.
trained like a monster.
Hours and
Yeah,
hours.
she was one of those clients who asked, like, how much can I train, doc? How much can I do 2 sessions? Can I do 3? You know, and so she put in the work, and she then was coming to us asking, can I wean my medication? So we were slowly weaning down on each of those 3 medications, and she weaned her way off of those medications. And if you're wondering, well, what was this training she was doing? She was doing breathing training and she was doing neurofeedback training. And the brain, seeing itself
Yeah.
in the training, was able to say, oh, I don't like what I see there. I can do it differently. I don't like what I'm seeing. I can do it differently. And over time, the brain was changing a teeny bit at a time to become less sympathetic and adding in the parasympathetic, and those creative and calm waves were starting to come on board. Long story short, she went to medical school.
So she got back in school.
She didn't just get back in school. She went to medical school and did well, flying colors, all that good stuff. Her IQ was insanely high.
Yeah.
So the situation that we found her in was not who she was. It was a
negative learning.
Yes, a result of all the negative learning from whatever inputs were going on prior to that point. But she then was also got married, had kids, so had a full life back.
Right.
And to have seen that process, I won't ever forget that.
No, it was amazing. And that was a testament to learning. We just provided the classroom and the reinforcement to the brain and giving the brain feedback on itself. And it was just amazing to see. And that's not just like yesterday. This is, 20 years later, and just seeing how successful this person's been. It's been amazing. So we have our 2-minute drill.
Yes,
Ding,
sir.
ding, 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 ding.
2-minute drill, and we're going to do it in 1 minute.
1 minute and 15 seconds. So we always give you a little something to work on because your brain matters, and we're going to do it in little nuggets. And so we want you to think about this concept of learning, right? And we want to just have you step back and look at your life. And even when you think you're not learning, you're learning stuff all the time. And just like we've talked about appreciating the brain for the brain, and it's a most amazing thing that it is, we want you to just take the time to appreciate things that you're currently learning or things that you've learned, okay? And jot some of those things down. Think about those.
Yeah, it's a great time. We're nearing the end of the year, so you could look back and see, like, how did I do in 2025? Like, what new things have I integrated into my world that I now find to be normal for me? It's pretty exciting what the brain can acclimate to and add in, and how we can either be doing better because of that or doing worse because of that. And we have a lot of control in that situation.
Yes. Your brain matters, and hopefully you've learned a lot today. Let's go.